All right, this time we are going to check to see if there's any significant differences in the average changes in stock values. That's what these numbers are. That makes them the DV. Anything that's physically measured in every group is the DV. And the IV is simply, you can name it group if you want. As long as you know, the subgroups go under the new IV, whatever you're going to name it. So I think we're going to name the IV here Automaker. But let me go ahead and answer the first couple of questions here in the blink of an eye. Boom. Magic. So the null is always the same. No significant difference in average changes in stock values between the three companies. And the alternative is yes, there was, right? So you got this argument. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. Forever. And the IV is a grouping variable called Automaker, right? It's categorical. And the DV is average stock changes. Okay, those are the numbers in the colored rows. So we're going to check to see if it violates normality. But I'm going to take a shortcut here. I'm going to get this ready and simply paste it into SPSS, and we'll knock all these questions off at the same time. Please hold. It's faster to fix these things in Excel and then transfer them over to SPSS. So 1 means Toyota, 2 means Honda, 3 means GMC. So we're ready. Let's go. Highlight. Remember, just the numbers go in SPSS. Copy. Switch over to SPSS. And again, you're going to be on data view. And that's the good thing about SPSS. You could put everything on the same sheet. So make sure you're in row 1. Take the first blank one. Right-click, paste. Okay, go back to the variable view. We're going to name them. The first one was the categorical variable that we're going to call auto underscore maker. And man, I wish I could spell Maker. And this one is, what was it, average change in stock. So I'll just put stock change. Remember, no blanks in SPSS variable names. Okay, let's tell the computer what they are. Automaker was the nominal. And stock change was in just a regular number scale. So since we have a nominal, we have to label them. And as I remember, 1 was Toyota. 2 was Honda. And 3 was GMC, General Motors Corporation, who happens to own Chevy and a bunch of other people. Okay, so we're good to go. First thing we're going to do is check normality, analyze, descriptives, explore. Out with these guys. We're going to just do stock all at the same time. We can do that, yep. And normality, that's the main one. And histograms. Histograms can be very deceptive, so I don't even look at them anymore. But there it is right there. And because this number is not less than 0.05, you can say it did not violate the assumption. Now, that's the Kolmogorov-Smirnov. If you notice the Shapiro-Wilk, it says it did violate the assumption. So, very important. This 200 with the asterisk under normality for Kolmogorov-Smirnov means that the computer thinks that if you had a bigger sample size, then the data would eventually go to a normal distribution, okay? But we can just say that it's normal enough because this thing says it didn't violate. So no. Next, did the DV violate the assumption of homogeneity variance? We're just going to run the test now, okay? It'll answer the rest of the questions for us. Doesn't matter if you go to the data sheet or the output sheet. You simply go to Analyze, General Linear Model, Univariate, out with the old. So we're stock change is the dependent variable because it's a continuous variable as well. And this is our fixed factor, aka our categorical or nominal variable. And everything else should be picked here. And it is. Click OK. And there's all the answers we need. Homogeneity variance. Let us look at the, what is that? The Levine's test output. Let's scroll down to the Levine's test. There it is right there. did not violate because the sig value is not less than 0.05. Remember, if you're checking an assumption of the data, if the sig value is less than 0.05, you violated that assumption. So we did not violate the assumption of homogeneity variance. Okay. Next question. What is the F ratio? Let's take a look, shall we? F ratio, here's our box. This is the main box right here, man. See if I can get it in there for you. And everything you need to know right here. And this is called the source of variance table, whatever you want to call it. Again, because we only have one IV, our corrected model row and our automaker row will be identical. So there's our F ratio, 2.50, rounding. Sig value, 0.098, not significant. That was not less than 0.05. Therefore, you cannot reject the null. So the null is basically right, that the difference between the stock changes is not significant. All right, so this is all our information. Let me go ahead and I'm going to cut and paste this into the document. So I can just pull it all from the same document. I don't have to jump back and forth. Please hold. Rest of the answers right here. What was the F ratio? 2.5, and I just pulled it right off of this table. Right there. Sig value, 0.098. 0.098 is not less than 0.05, therefore we cannot reject the null, which means that it was probably correct that the differences between the average stock changes between the car companies was not big enough to be called significant. That's all it means, right? So no, there was no significance. And which company had the highest? It really doesn't matter since they weren't significant, but Honda had the highest and Toyota had the lowest. I just looked at the means here, right? Honda had the highest and Toyota had the lowest. And this is the write-up, right? A one-way between group ANOVA indicated that there was no significant difference in the average changes in stock values between the three car companies. F, this is your between group degrees of freedom. Within group degrees of freedom, also called error. Let's take a look at that, right? They call it error. That means within group. There's your degrees of freedom for that one. And there's the p-value, and there's that. So now, a lot of people might slight us because we don't put at the alpha level of 0.05, but we assume that the alpha level is 0.05, so I'm going to live with that. All right, that's it. MGZ, out.